So welcome everyone. Yeah, I'm filling in for Venerable Katie tonight. I guess she had another commitment for tonight and next Tuesday. So these 2 Tuesdays I will be here um, to lead this practice. So maybe before we begin, let's just take a moment to come into this space with just a very short meditation, just paying attention to the breath, trying to calm the mind to some degree, letting go of whatever distractions we might have so we can be fully present for this practice. Let's just take a minute or so to do that. Then we'll set our motivation for engaging in this practice. Then recall that in order to practice the path to enlightenment, while yes, it's essential that we meditate on various topics, that we increase our understanding and eventually attain realizations, we cannot do this without doing two things: accumulating merit and purifying negative imprints, negative tendencies. So in this practice, we're particularly focusing on purification because it's one of the main obstacles to achieving realizations on the path. So we want to do this practice with the mind of bodhicitta, the intention to develop ourselves to the greatest degree so we can then perfectly help other beings to do the same. I think that it's for this reason that we're gathered here together tonight, to engage in this practice, to purify our faults, our negative actions, and to try to create a path of virtue, a path that will help us to achieve all the realizations we desire. So we're going to be engaging in the practice of Vajrasattva with the four opponent powers. So I always like to begin with the opponent power of regret. So we're going to just sit for a minute or two in silence to think about the things that in particular, we want to purify. These can be things that have happened within the last 24 hours or so, in particular, the things that we have done where we have engaged in negativities of body, speech, and mind, particularly what are defined as the 10 non-virtuous actions. But also we can think about particularly heavy actions we might have done in this life that require repeated purification in order to remove their potential. So to spend a minute or two in silence and again recall that this isn't guilt, this isn't a mind that feels bad about these things in that way. We do want to generate some remorse, but we do it in a very healthy way, taking responsibility for what we have done. And after the limb of regret, we generate a sense of reliance. And recall that we do this in two ways. The first is to renew our sense of refuge, safe direction in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And in a sense, this is already to repair the relationship that we have with the three jewels, to recognize that in committing those actions that we are regretting, we have gone against the advice of the gurus, the Buddhas, all the holy beings who are instructing us, guiding us. And we have gone against, of course, the Dharma that they teach. So we are turning our attention to the three jewels as a source of support, relying upon them to help us to engage in this purification fully. And we secondly generate the mind of bodhicitta. the wish to become enlightened for the sake of all beings. And this acts as a means to repair our relationship with other beings that we have harmed. Instead of having a mind that wishes them harm, we're going to generate the mind that wishes them to achieve the greatest possible state of well-being and happiness, to become enlightened. And we're going to dedicate ourselves to doing that, helping them to achieve that realization of complete Buddhahood. So cultivating these two thoughts in your mind, let's recite the refuge and bodhicitta verse that articulates those two thoughts of taking refuge in the three jewels and then generating the mind of enlightenment. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So, having done that, we have the third limb, which is the limb of the actual remedy, the antidote. So here we're going to be doing the visualizations with the recitation of the Vajrasattva mantra. And it starts by visualizing our own gurus, all the Buddhas appearing in the space before us in the form of pure white Vajrasattva. I'll put his image on the screen here, essentially having just two arms and his two hands crossed at his heart. In his right hand there's a Vajra, in his left there's a bell. These symbolize the combined method and wisdom that are essential to achieve enlightenment. He's white because he is completely pure and can help us to purify in the same way. So we're going to be visualizing Guru Vajrasattva above the crown of our head. And as we engage in these various stages of purification, we can visualize that brilliant white light comes down from Vajrasattva and enters the crown of our head, and we'll do different visualizations with that. For the first round of recitation of the mantra, we'll visualize that the white light enters into the crown of our head and completely goes through our body, kind of causing all of what is our impurities, negativities, all the things that we're regretting to be removed through the lower orifices, just to kind of go out through the body in that way. So we become like this hollow tube with all of our negativities removed. And we're thinking particularly in this round about our negativities of body, the things we've done physically, such as taking the lives of others or harming them, their bodies, what have you, to have taken the physical possessions of others through stealing. And then also any sexual misconduct, any unwise sexual behavior we might have engaged in, especially any having relationships outside of a committed relationship, any other actions we might have done that were not using our sexuality to the wisest degree. So we're going to bring all of those to mind as we do this recitation with this downward cleansing visualization. So let me get the mantra on the screen, and we will do that right now. So it's a little thing here. Okay. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Me Prayata Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sarva Tata Kata Vajra Me Motsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutsa Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Monsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Mansa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Monsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Guruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Munsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Monsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Munsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Denopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Monsa Vajra Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. To think that without a doubt, every single negative action of body that you've regretted, that you are bringing to mind, as well as all the other actions of body that were harmful to others and to ourselves that we have done, we purify all of these completely through this recitation. We have completely removed them. Think that they've been made ineffectual so they will not bring forth even the slightest suffering results. You really hold that view that you've been purified of every one of these negative actions of body. And we're going to take a moment to bring to mind those actions of speech that we regretted earlier and any other actions of speech we might have engaged in. And we can particularly think about the 4 negativities of speech that are part of the 10 non-virtuous paths of action. Lying, where we have deceived others through what we have communicated to them. And then divisive speech, we have tried to separate people who are united or increase the division between people. And then harsh speech, where we've used our speech as a weapon to harm others, to hurt them through the things we say, the way that we say them to them. And then finally, meaningless speech, where we've engaged in talk that really has no merit or value and wasted our time, wasted the time of others, when we've talked with great attachment. bringing those to mind, thinking deeply about the ways that we regret those actions and regret harming others and ourselves through them. We then visualize an upward cleansing as we recite the mantra. This is where the lower part of the body is closed, just like a vase. And so when the white light comes down from Guru Vajrasattva, enters the crown of our head, it goes all the way down to the bottom and then begins to fill up to the top. And all the negativities float like leaves on top of water that come out of our upper orifices, our mouth, our eyes, ears, and they go out again when they're dispelled, completely removed, as we do this visualization with the recitation of the Vajrasattva mantra. So let's do a number of those as well with that visualization. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Mansa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Deno Patita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Memparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahom Pe. So here too, think that all the negativities of speech that you brought to mind and regretted, all the ways that you've harmed others with your speech are completely purified. Now with complete pure speech, we can benefit others. with everything we say, all the words we use to communicate and be with others, especially to share the Dharma with them. And lastly, to purify our minds, we bring to mind all of the things that we've done, the delusions and so on that we've had in our minds, especially the three that are among the 10 non-virtuous actions, which can include our covetousness, the ways in which we've desired to acquire the goods of others, the things that others possess, our mind of malice or ill will that has generated the thoughts of harming others, and then our wrong views, the ways in which our ignorance about the nature of things has manifested in ways that are very strong, denying things like karma, the three jewels, rebirth, what have you. So again, any ways that we've engaged in those three actions, as well as any other negative tendencies that we've had in our minds, all of our anger, jealousy, greed, miserliness, and so on. Bring all of these to mind. Once more, that sincere sense of regret, we turn to Guru Vajrasattva to help us to purify through using his mantra. We are going to visualize that rays of this purifying white light come down from Guru Vajrasattva. And when they reach the center of our being and the center of our heart chakra, kind of like in the same way that we turn a light on in a room, all the darkness is dispelled. With that light coming to our heart center, immediately all our negative actions of our mind, all the mental afflictions and so on are completely removed. So we'll engage in the recitation of the mantra with that visualization. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Emparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramame Monsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Emparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramame Monsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Te Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramame Monsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anuraktu Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramame Monsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhim Me Paryatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddham Emparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutame Sitam Shriyam Puruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Mansa Vajra Bawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Denopatita Dido Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddham Emparyatsa Sarva Karma Sutsame Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Mansa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. So here as well, think that all the negativities of mind, our mental afflictions, all the non-virtuous actions we've engaged in that are mental have been completely purified and made completely ineffectual, so they will not bring forward any suffering results. In this way, we purified our body, speech, and mind. And now we once more think about Guru Vajrasattva, who is on the crown of our head. Visualize that he turns into brilliant white nectar, brilliant white nectar that now enters into the crown of our heads, completely filling us, granting us all the realizations of body, speech, and mind, the enlightened, holy body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas. Really feel that you've become one with Guru Vajrasattva, with this purified aspect of all the Buddhas, now in a completely pure state. Just hold this thought of having attained a state of complete purity of all of our negativities of body, speech, and mind, even the subtlest obscurations in our minds completely removed. And then we engage in the fourth limb, the last bit here, to generate a sense of resolve around refraining from these actions again in the future. And now that we've kind of purified ourselves, cleaned ourselves up, we don't want to sully ourselves again through engaging in these negative actions. If there are some among these negative actions that require more time to address, then we are lenient with ourselves and only refrain from those actions for some period of time. But if there are actions that we can make the commitment to refrain from for the rest of this life, then that is wonderful, and we should do that. And certainly, if we have any vows that we've taken, we should reaffirm that we are going to hold those purely. So just spend a minute or two kind of looking at the negativities that you are trying to refrain from and making your own resolve around how to go about refraining from them. Then we conclude the practice with dedication as usual, in order to make sure that the merit that we've created through this practice and all that we've accomplished is not wasted in any way, with this first verse that dedicates our positive potential for attainment of Buddhahood so we can help others to do the same. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may we quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. Then, seeing the amazing power of bodhicitta, we recite this prayer with the wish for our bodhicitta to develop limitlessly and to never decline in the least. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. And it's always good after purification to also rejoice, to take a moment to rejoice in your own engagement in this practice, all the good things that you did throughout this day, and also rejoice in each other, gathering here today to engage in this practice with each other. So we can go to bed with a pure mind and a happy mind, rejoicing, generating great joy. And we can also dedicate, as usual, for the good health and long lives of all of our precious gurus and the very swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Okay, thank you all for joining tonight. I hope that was satisfactory. And I will look forward to seeing you all at the Vajrasattva a week from tonight, but maybe I'll see some of you at classes before then. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again for joining. All right, be well.